about a team right now that is just in such sync offensively.
The net looks as it all for Nick Nurse. A sweep completed here in Philadelphia.
Would rather not have a 9-day break.
We've had a chance to rest, too.
It is the Donovan Mitchell Show.
The Cleveland Cavaliers are moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. They'll take on the New York Knicks.
It's going to be a tough battle.
It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be, might have another game 7.
New York, go, New York, go!
Oh, this music lives rent-free in my head. Madison Square Garden is going to be an absolute madhouse tonight as the Knicks host Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Cavs. After losing to the Pacers in the conference finals last year, the Knicks are still looking for their first finals appearance since 1999, while the Cavs trying to make their first NBA Finals without LeBron James on the roster. The Cavs and Knicks have taken different paths en route to meeting in the Eastern Conference Finals. New York has lost just 2 games this postseason and has a plus 19.4 points per game differential, the best in a 10-game span in NBA playoff history. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Cavs have gone to Game 7 in each series they've played in the postseason. So the question is, who needs to show up tonight at the Garden in order for this to be a Game 1 for the ages? Stephen A.?
Well, it's 2 people that go to my mind. I know I'm supposed to give 1, but I'm going to give 2 only because 1 is involving injury. I need to see OG Anunoby healthy. After being out with the, in the Sixers series with the hamstring injury and whatever the last few games, I want to see him back healthy. The fact that he's gotten this rest, that they got this break because they swept the Sixers and Cleveland and Detroit win 7 games, I think it's incredibly important that this guy is in the flow. Remember, he was shooting better than 60% from the field and better than 50% from three-point range, averaging over 20 when he went down in the playoffs. So we have to understand his importance. Strictly in regards to their performance, more so than anything else, I'm going to say the name Mikal Bridges again. I'm going to say again, yes, Wilbon, you're absolutely right. It ain't his fault that all them damn draft picks were given up for him. It ain't his fault. I got it. But damn it, they were given up. Okay? And this is the Knicks. This is the Knicks situation. And it's going to stay this way for the foreseeable future because they gave up all of these assets. He has to justify it. And he doesn't have to do anything more than he's been doing over the last few games in these playoffs since they blew out Atlanta by 50 in the first half of the closeout Game 6. So he's been flowing ever since. Keep that up is all I'm trying to say. Mikal Bridges has to be that guy because we know Donovan Mitchell might get loose. Who knows what James Harden's going to do? Who knows what Allen and Mobley are going to do? But I'm going to say the name that comes to my mind is Mikal Bridges. If OG Anunoby is healthy and Mikal Bridges is balling, the New York Knicks are easily going to win this series.
I'll give you 1 from each team. I'm going to say for the New York Knicks, it has to be Karl Anthony Towns. Last series, we seen him basically play with a handicap when we're talking about Joel Embiid. You got the sag off him on defense, therefore it helped you out defensively when you seen screens coming, people cutting through, etc., because he was hobbled on defense. Not just that, offensively, when they were, we'll call him point center cat, had the ball in his hands. When he got the drive, defense also collapsed on him, so you were able to find open shots from Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and where the Knicks just shot lights out, 57% from three-point land. And that was the key to that. You're a bit handicapped because of Joel Embiid. Are you going to do that against Evan Mobley? We'll see that. And on the other side of the ball, I'll say, as to be Jared Allen, he had 2 great, sensational Game 7s in this playoff so far. But I remember him a couple years ago, and your guy Wendy actually brought it up, how he got smoked by Mitchell Robinson. And he said the lights were too bright for him. And that was 3 years ago. The lights are going to be brighter than 3 years ago. And you've been playing exceptionally well this series. You're going to have to step up this year for the Cleveland Cavaliers to have a chance.
I don't disagree with any of those. Those are key people. And more than one person has to show up big in any playoff game, particularly a conference finals playoff game. I'll stick with Cleveland for a second. And it's going to be Donovan Mitchell. I mean, look, Donovan Mitchell's capable of 50-point games in the playoffs. We know that. He doesn't have to have that tonight. I'm not suggesting he needs to be some great soloist. But here's what it does if Donovan Mitchell is assertive and productive early. It takes a lot of the pressure off James Harden. Stephen A., you and I particularly have spent a lot of years chronicling and having to be critical in the playoffs, particularly as mid-May turns to late May, of James Harden and what he hasn't done. But what James Harden can do, particularly if Donovan Mitchell's taking the pressure off him scoring, James Harden can just go to facilitation mode. He can do that and have 10, 11, 12 assists and be incredibly effective. This is not a situation where James Harden has to be what he was in Houston and has to come out and have a 35-point, 15-assist game. No, he doesn't need to do that. But in order to sort of settle into that role, you need Donovan Mitchell scoring a lot in this game. And it also, Mobley and Allen can then follow suit. Somebody's got to set the tone for Cleveland. Mobley and Allen, you can't have any 3.2 assist, 2 rebound games out of them. They need bigger games. We saw that late in the Toronto series. We saw it late in the Detroit series. They can't wait till late. Otherwise, there won't be a late in the Knicks series if they don't get started, and preferably tonight.
I'll say this about Harden. Harden, 29-6 against the Knicks in his career. So he's had some success against this team. It was not a factor in Game 7, Harden. It didn't matter. They won the game. They didn't necessarily need him for him not having a great showing. It matters tonight now in this game, in this series, to set the tone. Also, the OG Anunoby point, Stephen A., that you made, he is probable, according to NBA's injury report.
He's playing.
So I would assume he will likely play and feel good. And you know what
He's had
LeBron
3
says.
weeks. He's had about 3 weeks off. Yeah,
That's right.
About time.
And
About time.
LeBron always says, you're playing and you're good to go. You better be playing and you better be good to go. All right,
Offensive team, but they do have a guy that they used on him in the regular season that was very effective, and that's 6'10" Dean Wade, who I expect to be back in the starting lineup tonight after he did not start Game 7. When Wade was a primary defender, Monica, Jalen was 1 of 16. Now, I'm really cautious about going overreaction on a 3-game regular season situation where there's back-to-backs and whatnot. But this is who the Cavs will rely on to be the primary defender, and with Max Strus off the bench.
Well, look, if you've got a guy who's got that kind of length and can move his feet, then that's exactly what you need against a guy like Brunson.
I will even add, even though I'm with you, the regular season, be very careful, especially the third game between these two teams, because it was an absolute dud. It was terrible. They also have Dennis Schroeder, who has and sees himself as a guy that can be very bothersome to Jalen Brunson. Now, I also believe, though, having watched him literally in Game 1s in both of these series so far, he has come out with another level of focus. I don't know. I think the Cavs are in a position to make it more challenging. I agree that stop is probably not the right word.
So 2 years ago in the playoffs, I did sort of a rant that people in New York seemed to really like. Yeah. When I talked about how Brunson, any criticism of Brunson was ridiculous because he was carrying this team basically by himself. And if you looked at the roster, man for man, and what the output that they were getting, the production they were getting from other places, that it was ridiculous to point any finger of blame at him, even if he played a bad game. This team is different. This has changed dramatically in 2 years. The trade of Julius Randle for Karl Anthony Towns, how does that look right about now after the series that Randle just had? Towns, sometimes you have to listen to people when they talk to you. Like, it's a good lesson for me, even after 30 years doing this, because Towns kept saying, I don't need more shots, I just want the ball. And I'm thinking, that's another way of saying I want more shots. He was actually telling you the truth.
Right.
He wanted to be more involved in the offense. He has been. Anunoby has emerged as a legitimate star, assuming he is healthy. So while Brunson is still the best player on the team, they have so many other places they can go. To me, that's the difference in these Knicks.
And I would say, Greeny, this offense has got more guys moving. Things are coming more fluid. Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby unlock Karl Anthony Towns as a facilitator. But as we see in the postseason, if things get bogged down and you have to go to ISO, which Jalen Brunson has excelled in the last few seasons as a New York Knick, you have a guy that you are confident in those moments. Now, the current offense that they're running has been much more effective for the unit, and I think it's going to present more challenges for Cleveland to defend them. But if it does get slow, you got a guy you can trust.
I will say this. If there's one thing that concerns me, again, I was born and raised here. I feel like there's, for the franchise that fans are always afraid something bad is going to happen, it's gone 180 degrees. Everyone I'm talking to already has the Knicks in the finals. So, I mean, I think a lot of Knicks fans think this is a one-sided series. They got the matchup that they wanted. They got the home court that they wanted. They didn't have to play Boston. They didn't have to play Detroit. How do you see the series from a big picture as we get set for it to start?
The Cavs have a player in Donovan Mitchell who can take a game. You know, he had a 39-point half in the last round. I wouldn't say he's playing his best basketball, but they have a guy who can come in and has come into Madison Square Garden in the past and taken a game from them. That's a big key. The second thing is the Cavs do have a very malleable defense. They can switch and stuff like that. They do have good big man defenders. Jared Allen has come off a couple of very important games.